Manuel Bojorquez is on Sanibel Island, where officials are having trouble keeping the beach clean. Manny, you're standing right next to the red tide, correct? Can you describe what you smell and what you see?
Yeah, just as you'd imagine, it is a fishy, nasty smell. And of course, you can see why. Just take a look at all the fish here, and this extends for miles. Just standing out here, you do get that sense of almost like a cough, like there's something in your throat. Your eyes start to water, they start to itch as well. And so clearly you'd imagine that this is not only a problem for the wildlife here, but for anybody who lives on the island in this area along the Gulf Coast, and of course for tourists.
So the red tide is responsible for killing all that fish that we're seeing in your live shot, is that right? And why does it not look particularly red?
Yeah, so it is suspected that all this fish kill is due to the red tide. You're not really seeing the color red here necessarily, but the water definitely looks murky. So what you have here is something that happens every year, but in pockets. And people are used to seeing little pockets of that. But this year, for some reason, it is mushroomed to cover a wide area. And again, you can just see here, you have volunteers and crews that come out here to pick all of this up. And then the tide goes out and it reveals that there's that much more stuff here. What people are concerned about is that this year, they're not only seeing dead fish, but also these little snake-like things. Those are eels, and even in some places, you're seeing sea turtles. So they're really concerned about the effect on the ecosystem here.
Oh, goodness, yes, and I can just imagine the stench, which is, of course, driving away beachgoers. You don't see any people out on this beautiful day enjoying the beach. But, Manny, I want to ask you, you say in your reporting that this is due to a naturally occurring algae. But why is this one of the worst red tides in years? Do officials know? Is it tied to any environmental issues?
Well, that, of course, is the big question. And you have a lot of people here who point to pollution, to human cause triggers that can make the algae really kick up. In particular, many people look at Lake Okeechobee, which is a reservoir in the middle of South Florida that is fresh water, but it's been polluted by development and also by industrial agriculture. That water flows out into the waterways and out toward the beaches. That has led to a separate algae problem, something called green algae that communities here have had to deal with. The red tide is completely separate, but many people suspect that the pollution may actually be playing a role here in giving this toxic stew really the ability to take off like it has. Many scientists are looking also at currents and other things like that to really try to figure out why this year is so bad. Regardless of what it is, though, people would want this to stop.
Absolutely. And Manny, do officials have any idea when this red tide will end? And is there anything that folks there can do to speed up the process?
It's hard to tell. I mean, people at this point can only really clean up the beaches. There's an alert that goes out every day to residents here asking them, if you see anything, please pick it up. The worst bloom on record was back in 2006. That lasted for 17 months. So this is naturally occurring mostly in the winter. It is supposed to go away. It clearly hasn't. No telling, though, how long this will go.
Now, Manny, we're seeing some pretty cool drone shots as well of Sanibel. Sanibel is an island, correct? And it's a pretty Tony one at that. There's some high-end real estate behind you.
There definitely is a lot of tourism here. That's what this island is known for, and of course very high-end communities that a lot of people like to retire to. This is not what they want to see. On a typical day here, you'd have a lot of tourists, especially right now during the summer, and you can probably see there are a few brave souls that are out here right now looking at the fish kill. Industry here, tourism industry is huge, and there's no real sense so far of an economic hit this year, but the business community is concerned about people who are coming this year, who are seeing all of this and may not want to come back the next.
All right, Manny Bojorquez, thank you for your reporting from Sanibel.
Thank you.